very good afternoon to you, and welcome to our live stream called In Conversation With. I am James Lennox, the MD and founder of Milk and Sugar. We are a video marketing company. We create bespoke video content for our clients to help them communicate with their audience at every stage of the customer journey. So welcome to those of you who are watching on our Facebook page. I'd also like to welcome those people who have joined us on Capital Legacy's Facebook page. You may be wondering why you're seeing me first. Well, the reason is that we are in conversation with the managing director of Capital Legacy, Mr. Brandon Garbutt. So that is why we are streaming live to Capital Legacy's Facebook page and why you've joined us this afternoon. So a very warm welcome to you. What are we going to be discussing today, and why are we doing this live stream? Well, it really is about chatting to businesses about what they've been doing during lockdown and how they are using technology to pivot their businesses to allow them to be able to operate remotely. And this really is just a proof of concept and demonstration to those of you who are not using this technology yet, to kind of ask yourselves the question, or to allow you to ask yourselves the question, why are we not using it just yet? So a warm welcome to Brandon. Brandon, great to have you with us on the stream this afternoon. Brandon is live from Bryanston. There he is.
The thumb.
Sorry, Brandon, we didn't have your audio on there for a second, so welcome to you again.
Thanks, James. Appreciate the time.
It's great to have you with us, and obviously with lockdown on at the moment, it makes life quite difficult for businesses to be able to cope with still being able to communicate with their staff, being able to communicate with their customers, and we're going to be able to chat to you about that. But just personally, on a very personal level, how have you found that at the moment?
Yeah, I think, James, from a personal level, I think I can speak for most of us after chatting with everyone for the past 3 weeks. I mean, can you believe today was supposed to be the last day of lockdown? I think we all thought in the beginning, how are we going to survive this? And we have. But then obviously we found out that it's another 2 weeks to go. But from a personal point of view, I think, James, the biggest impact for me personally, and I'm not speaking for the rest of the company here, is just there's no balance between, I think, work and life. Home and work life at the moment. I think everyone kind of thinks just because you're at home, you're available 24/7, which in what's happening in the world today is actually quite a good thing for business. But sort of a little bit of an antidote aside, it's a bit hard to say to my 2-year-old daughter that Daddy's not at home all the time just to play, and I actually have to go to work now. And go to work means just moving to the next room. So for me, I think the biggest challenge now is obviously there's people thinking you're available all the time, and it's not one of those things where you go to meetings and you used to be able to sort of turn off because you'd have to get in your car and drive back to the office, or get half an hour between meetings. Where now you literally go from one meeting and you click out and you click into another meeting. So I think just managing your time is the biggest one for me at the moment.
I suspect that is the case. I mean, with a lot of businesses that are operating now, I find that exactly the same for myself, that trying to manage, or time management is probably one of the most tricky things to get right in this period of lockdown. One of the things that I want to ask you before we kick off with the interview proper is, for those of you who have joined on Milk and Sugar's Facebook page, they may not know what Capital Legacy does. In a nutshell, do you want to just give us a kind of almost an elevator pitch of what you guys do?
Sure. Thanks, James, and thanks for everyone who's tuned in. So, Capital Legacy, we're the leaders in will drafting and estate administration. We've been around for 8 years now, and we have made it more accessible and easier for the average South African to get their will drafted and to make sure that they have an up-to-date and valid will. What we also do is we want to make it easier for the consumer out there to understand and offer a solution when it comes to legal fees and legal costs that one actually has to pay when they pass away. And we try and take this burden away from them, and obviously wind up their estate in the least possible time with the least possible cost. And that's what we're striving to do for the past 8 years.
the real cost of dying, I suppose, is something that one doesn't necessarily think about, and it's one of those difficult things often to speak about with people. What I thought we might do is just play in a short video which explains kind of a little bit more of what exactly it is that Capital Legacy does. This is a video that we created for Capital Legacy a while back, and it's called The Real Cost of Dying.
This is Mark. He's married in community of property to Justine, and they have 2 kids aged 10 and 12. Like only 20% of South Africans, Mark has drafted a will. In his will, he leaves everything he has to Justine. If she also dies, their combined estates will go into a testamentary trust until the children are 21. It sounds reasonable until you calculate the real cost of dying. Mark's gross executable estate is made up of his home, investments, cars and other assets, and a policy to cover his bond. Because he's married in community of property, Justine's assets of 1.5 million rand are included in their estate total. But let's look at the costs incurred when Mark dies. This is the actual value of his assets that were for distribution, but 251,563 rands is needed for the executor's fees. But Mark's properties also need to be transferred to Justine, which means another 31,108 rand in attorney conveyance fees. Add to the growing cost estate expenses like master's fees, advertisements, disbursements and property clearances. Justine will have to find the money somewhere. Don't forget, there are also professional fees for administering Mark's life policies, retirement benefits and offshore investments worth 2 million rand. That's another 17,250 rand gone in fees. Already a substantial chunk of Mark's legacy is gone, and they don't include the cost of a funeral or the family's everyday living costs. The executor will need to find them somewhere while the estate is wound up. But things can get a lot worse for their children if Justine dies at the same time as Mark or soon after. If Mark and Justine both die, inheritance taxes that include estate duty and capital gains tax are triggered, a whopping 464,800 rand. Plus, there are annual trustee fees for the Children's Testamentary Trust, calculated at 0.75% plus VAT of the trust asset value per annum, with their compound effect being enormous. Mark's assets started at 3.75 million rand, excluding his 1 million rand life cover, but the cost of his death means he's lost 10% if he dies and 40% if he and Justine die. The available cash in his estate is all but depleted. Mark's family might have to part with their life insurance payout or borrow money to pay the cash shortfall, or his beneficiaries might have to sell their home or other assets to release the cash. For as little as 135 rand per month, the Legacy Protection Plan solves every one of these problems and protects your family from this dire situation. And even if your estate isn't exactly like Mark's, the Legacy Protection Plan is agile and flexible enough to adapt to your unique legacy planning needs. To find out more, go to our website to watch more videos or get in touch so we can set up a face-to-face consultation and explain just how the Legacy Protection Plan can help you.
So I guess there's some really scary numbers that were mentioned in that video, and it leads me to obviously believe that a lot of your business must be face-to-face with your clients, being able to talk through some of those difficult numbers. And talking about death is never an easy thing, I could imagine. But so with most of your business being geared towards speaking face-to-face with customers, I guess the obvious question to ask straight away is, how quickly were you able to pivot your business to operate remotely? And then let's look to chat directly with your clients.
Yeah, so James, it was. I mean, our business has been built around face-to-face consultation, and for the past 8 years, that's exactly what we've done. Financial advisors have trusted us with their clients. They've been sent to us from a referral basis. We've made the appointment, and one of our 100 consultants around the country have gone out and actually sat face-to-face with the client and drafted their will. And based on that, we've probably been doing about 8,500 appointments a month face-to-face, which is a phenomenal achievement, and that's how we built the business. And then all of a sudden, obviously, lockdown occurred. But where we've been quite lucky, James, is that we are quite a technology robust company, and we quite quick to pivot when it comes to changes. So we've always done if I can call it virtual consulting or a telephonic consultation. We always had that ability. And many customers have actually asked if they are in really far outlying areas, or they need something in an emergency in terms of a will. We've always been able to actually facilitate using technology. But we obviously had to accelerate that with the lockdown occurring. But we didn't actually wait for the lockdown to occur. We actually anticipated this about a week beforehand, and we actually went through a lot of training with our consultants to prepare them, to let them know what was actually going to happen, and how they can sort of overcome the stumbling blocks and be able to consult or virtual consult to the customers. So when lockdown did occur, we were ready from a technology point of view. And obviously, I mean, we've been working with you guys for a long time now, for 2 years, and being able to stream and to have videos and have content like we've been doing, it really helped with the consultation when chatting with a customer.
I think two questions that have come out of that. The one being, how did your brokers and your staff cope with that pivot? Because it's all very well that Capital Legacy is a technology robust company. But for those who are used to that one-on-one kind of connection, how difficult has it been for your staff firstly, and for your brokers that work for you or with you?
Yeah, it's, you know, we can make it sound like it's been a smooth sailing process and it's a perfect world, but it hasn't. And I just actually take my hat off and I commend first of all the internal staff, from our booking agents, who obviously had to change the way that they were discussing a consultation with a prospective client. We used to say, we're going to come out and see you face to face at your convenience. And now we actually have to change that to, are you comfortable with us discussing your will via a virtual consult or via a telephonic consultation? So that was the first stumbling block, was to get our internal staff from a booking agent perspective ready. From then, we obviously had to get our consultants who are trained professionals from a will drafting background, who have sat for many years now, sitting in the comfort of an office or a customer's home, and going through what it's like to draft a will with the customer, so having to do it over the phone. And a lot of rapport is built up when you're actually sitting face to face with someone in their environment. And we actually had to teach our consultants and get them used to being able to deal with someone over the phone, and to make that person feel comfortable to give you information over the phone, whether it's a virtual consult or it's a telephonic conversation. And it wasn't smooth sailing for a lot of the guys. Listen, a lot of our guys are just born salesmen over the phone, and they took to it like a duck to water. But generally, it took a bit of time. But I'm so proud of what the staff has actually done from a consultant point of view, and the rave reviews that we've been getting, and how comfortable the customer feels over the telephone conversation or virtual consult that they've actually had.
And just to give viewers some sort of idea of how quickly you guys have been moving during this lockdown, you've introduced a couple of new products, haven't you? And before you actually tell us about those new products, just to let you know, towards the end of this live stream, there's an amazing announcement from Capital Legacy about a brand new product or special offer that they are launching next week. We'll talk about that towards the end of this live stream. But Brandon, tell us about some of the products that you've launched at the start of the lockdown and over the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, so James, with lockdown occurring, and it wasn't really to do with lockdown, it was actually more to do with COVID-19 as a whole, was the absolute uncertainty and concern that was actually happening in the market, and people not knowing where to turn to, what was next. And what we wanted to do was actually just remove all that uncertainty and at least provide a bit of certainty in these uncertain times. And what we did was we brought out a special offer on our Gold Legacy Protection Plan. And what this did was, it was available to the market. The advisors obviously sent their clients to us as per normal. But what we did was, the product provides unlimited protection from your legal fees. And some people might say, what are the legal fees? But your executive fees, your testamentary trust fees, your conveyancing fees, all these legal costs that occur when you wind up an estate. And what we did was we gave the consumer unlimited protection of these fees. And then we offered them 35,000 in terms of immediate liquidity, 30,000 Rand for a product called our Estate Overhead Protector that protects you for those unforeseen costs when we wind up an estate, as well as 500,000 Rand for our estate gap cover to take care of inheritance taxes. So this was we were proud to say that we were the first to move in the market when it came to bringing out a product specifically or a special offer specific for COVID-19. But the most amazing thing about it is that we actually took away all the uncertainty from an underwriting point of view. So we took away any form of underwriting or underwriting questions or medical questions. And we said to a person, in these uncertain times, rather let's get your will done, get it in place, make sure you've got some form of cover so that you're certain while we're in lockdown, if anything was inevitable or was to happen, you know that you're covered. When we come out of this, and we will come out of it, we can obviously set up a further consultation or a review where we can actually come through and look at what your true needs are. But while you're in lockdown, you looked after from a fees protection point of view, and most importantly, you looked after from a will perspective. And we actually launched that just before lockdown.
That's amazing. So those are some of the products that you have launched during this lockdown period, and not, as you say, specifically only for the lockdown. But don't forget, guys, that we are going to be announcing an amazing special offer from Capital Legacy towards the end of this live stream. One quick question, Brandon, before I go into another video. The question is, how important are the brokers who work together with Capital Legacy to the company?
Well, the brokers are the lifeblood of not just Capital Legacy, of the financial services sector. We set out 8 years ago to support financial advisors. We've built our business around financial advisors. We've got anywhere between 4,500 and 5,000 financial advisors in South Africa who have codes with us. And we've built up a big trust network with them. And what do I mean by that is the brokers have trusted us with their clients, so they send their clients to us via a referral basis. And we make contact with the advisor and with the client on behalf of the advisor, and we'll obviously draft the will and go out and go through all of the legacy protection plan needs and requirements. So from our perspective, we've built the business around financial advisors, and we always will continue to support the financial advisor. And can I just say, James, one thing, during this time of lockdown and uncertainty, I think it's actually part of the responsibility of not just Capital Legacy, but all product houses to support the financial advisor and his clients in these times, in these hard times. And if we actually do provide that support, what's going to happen is we are going to come out of this as a stronger industry. We'll be able to get back on our feet a lot quicker, and we can look after the clients a lot quicker. So from our point of view, from Capital Legacy point of view, you'll see all our communication saying, let's stand together with the financial advisor to support them and their clients.
I think that's one of those kind of messages that resonates not just across the financial sector, but with any business, is trying to help those people that you can. Let's meet one of the financial advisors that works closely with Capital Legacy.
I came into the industry because of what happened to my dad. He's an architect, and he was in partnership with a guy who didn't believe in life insurance. And his partner died very unexpectedly, and my dad was held liable. He spent a number of his years, a long time ago, paying that money back, and it almost destroyed him. I think that was probably one of the reasons I went into the industry, because I didn't want anyone else to have to go through what my dad went through because of something as simple as a life insurance policy. I started dealing with death. People close to me, my friends' family were passing away, clients of mine, and I realized that I needed to actually somehow provide a will as a solution to these clients. I mean, the will is the foundation of any financial plan, and anyone who doesn't focus on the will first actually is not doing their clients any service. There's only really 3 options you've got to have a fiduciary services company help you, and it's either the banks, a fiduciary services company, or an accountant or a lawyer. And the problem is, all three of those had so many limitations, they were archaic in their systems. There was no human touch, there was no sympathy for the actual surviving people, whether it be spouses, children, family. You were a number. And there was no sense of urgency. There was no keeping you in the loop as to what was going on, what would happen next. I found it extremely tedious because of the time delay and the manual intervention that came in, and it was taking months to get will signed. I then started looking around to see what other solutions there are. I've had dealings with all of the service providers available, and my frustrations have been endless. It's been tedious for my clients, it's been tedious for me, it's been time consuming. The only company that I will do business with going forward is Capital Legacy. They are the only company that have that human touch. I started working with Capital Legacy in 2014, and all they've done since then is innovate. They have continuously gone beyond to be able to make my life easier and improve their product. So every day they are working on making it better. With Capital Legacy, I've got the system in my office. I can log in. Their service is out of this world. From day to day, they are continuously looking at improving their product. What can they do to make my life easier? What can they do to make the client's life easier? So for me, it's a no-brainer. There is no other company that can meet up to what they have to offer in terms of product and service.
Well, we apologize if you lost some of that video there. Obviously, we're dealing with the vagaries of internet connection, and it is one of the issues that one has during this lockdown period, with everybody trying to use various platforms to communicate, that it does sometimes affect the internet connection. So apologies if you lost that video. You can actually see the whole video on Capital Legacy's website. So if you want to see the full story and the ending, go over there. And also, obviously, to find out more information about Capital Legacy. Brandon, before we get into the next round of questions, I just want to make sure, just having a look at where you're sitting, that you haven't had a burglary or anything like that. Because it's looking rather empty.
No, so interesting story. Something that you don't plan for. So obviously I was doing renovations and building a new house. And the new house is on the same property that I'm on. And literally for 48 weeks it went absolutely smooth. And with 2 weeks to go before we could move into the new house, lockdown happened, which obviously was paid to them finishing the house. So after a year of painstaking building, I'm still 2 weeks off from moving into my house. But on the positive side is when I come from the house on the other side of the property to this one, I actually have the biggest study in the world because it's a whole empty house that I'm actually working from. So
it is,
I promise in a month, hopefully you'll see
one of those things that one has to deal with is that all the plans that we've had leading up into this quarter get changed by something like the coronavirus and COVID-19. But it's great to see, obviously, that you're still in good spirits, and I'm really glad to hear that there hasn't been any robbery and that it really is just a lockdown issue where we're waiting for the house to get finished. One of the things I want to speak to, Brandon, is that video has been central to your way of communicating your products, your ethos, your values. How have you been able to keep that going during lockdown?
So we were very fortunate, James, and as I said before, we've come a long way down the line with Milk and Sugar over the last 2 years. Is even before COVID-19 came upon us and lockdown, we were always looking at a different way or a different medium of communicating with firstly our advisors and as well as with our clients. And we looked at the general way. What's the general way? The general way that people communicate has always been through email, through SMS, or of late WhatsApp. And we felt sometimes you kind of lose the personal touch through these mediums, especially in email. I mean, James, the amount of emails that I'm sure you get, that I get, and many people out there get, you just don't have the time to actually go through all of them. And what we decided to do was really to get a lot of our messages across was to do videos. It allows us to connect and feel a lot more personal with our advisors and as well as with our clients, as well as I think people in this day and age like to see something visual instead of having to read it. And as I said before when I started off, we've been fortunate that we've actually been using this medium for a while now. And so going into lockdown, it wasn't actually a big change for us. It actually just accelerated what we were doing. And we've been very fortunate with that. And we've got some good feedback. So after this is done, we will definitely continue with this form of medium.
So I guess the whole thing with live streaming, because you were doing it beforehand, you're able to do it in lockdown. It's a great way of staying in touch with both your customers and your staff. How important has it been for you to be able to use live streaming during lockdown to speak directly to your staff and to keep their morale up?
So with our business and the way it's been expanding over the last 7 or 8 years, it's been tremendous, and we've been very lucky with the growth that we've experienced. But we're now sitting with an excess of 350 employees around the country. We've got 10 regional offices that we operate from in almost every province in South Africa. So we obviously need to communicate with all our staff, and what we have is once a month meeting where we actually have a 1 hour control meeting with the staff around the country, and what live streaming's made available to us. And as I said, it hasn't just been over this period of lockdown. We've been using it successfully for the past year now, where we've used live streaming to communicate our thoughts, our ideas, where the business is going, report back, positive news, negative news, everything that we'd actually like our staff to take out to the rest of the country, we can obviously do through live streaming. And for me, what's important, James, is people take different things when it comes to messaging. So if you send an email out, how you interpret it or how I interpret it and send it on to the staff is very different. But when all the staff are actually seeing one message go out, hopefully, and I always say hopefully, that message will be very similar or the same going out to the market. And that's for us where we've seen live streaming to communicate with our staff has worked really, really well over the last year.
That's fantastic. Brandon, I really appreciate the time that you are giving up to do this live stream with us. As we, if you've just joined us, of course, we are in conversation with the Managing Director of Capital Legacy, Brandon Garbutt. And you'll be able to watch this stream. It'll be embedded on both of our pages, both Capital Legacy's Facebook page and, of course, MILK+SUGAR's Facebook page. But before we wrap it up, Brandon, a little earlier on I alluded to the fact that you have a brand new special offer that you are launching next week. Why don't you tell us about that now?
So letting the cat out the bag a bit. But James, from our perspective is, if you look at what's happening with the rest of the country, is everyone is in support of what's happening on the front line, and more specifically the public sector, and rightfully so. What those ladies and gents are doing is absolutely phenomenal. The risks that they're putting themselves at from a health perspective, I don't think the rest of the country can say thank you enough. And what we said is, what can we do from a social responsibility point of view to assist the public sector and help people on the front line? And, you know, I've seen a lot of companies doing such worthwhile things like donating money, having donations to things like Solidarity Fund and things like that. But what we wanted to do from Capital Legacy was to make it more personal. We wanted to really make an impact to that individual in the public sector or on the front line if something was to happen, and how we could assist them and their family. What we're doing from our side is we're going to be running a special offer for the public sector or any member of the public sector, whereby we'll draft their will at no cost. We'll come out through our testamentary agents and actually see the public sector individual, draft their will. And what we are doing is we're making available cover for the amount of 250,000 Rand for all legal costs if they were to pass away. We'll cover up to 250,000 in terms of legal cost cover, and this will be for a premium of 0. So there's absolutely no premium. This is free cover that we're actually giving to all members of the public sector. We'll come out, draft your will for free. You have automatic cover up to 250,000 Rand for legal costs if anything were to happen. And we believe from Capital Legacy side, this is a real contribution to the actual individual who's on the front line from the public sector, and our way of saying thank you and we support you.
That's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's amazing that a company like Capital Legacy can continue to innovate and continue to offer these kind of products even in a lockdown period like this. And I understand that a lot of businesses are taking strain. A lot of businesses aren't able to obviously cope with the financial demands of perhaps limited income or reduced income coming in. And it's really encouraging to see that Capital Legacy is continuing to innovate and continuing to offer products that certainly are going to help people in the public sector. If you want more information on what Capital Legacy can do for you, visit their website. The address should pop up on the screen shortly. And then if you want to make contact directly with them because you want to speak to somebody about your will or about estate planning, then check out this email address. You drop them a line, they will get in touch with you. Capital Legacy is still staying on the front line of technology and the innovations there, certainly using live streaming. They have the ability, as we heard Brandon say throughout the interview, the ability still to continue to connect with you telephonically, which might not be the ideal way of doing it because people like to do business face to face. But Brandon, I would like to thank you for your time this afternoon, and thanks for just sharing some of the challenges that you have faced during lockdown and obviously how you've adapted. It's been great to spend the time with you and great to hear what Capital Legacy has been doing.
Yeah, and from our side, James, I'd like to just thank yourself from Milk and Sugar. We've had a great experience over the last 2 years. Had a lot of fun with you guys, and I think we can only take it further in terms of where we're going from the video perspective and the live streaming, and it's been really successful working with you guys over the last 2 years. To our loyal advisors, thanks a lot. Just know that we're here with you. We might not always have the answers, but we're standing next to you, and we're going to try everything we can to help you and the clients through this. And then obviously to my amazing staff, what you guys are doing every single day, I know is not easy, and from myself and from the rest of Exco, just want to say a big thank you for what you're doing for the business every single day.
Brandon, thanks so much for your time. We will be doing this on a regular basis on Milk and Sugar's Facebook page. In fact, we'll be chatting next to the guys from Iridium down in Cape Town and finding out how they've been coping with what's going on with the lockdown and how they're adapting their business to assist other businesses. It's an amazing story, some great stuff that's coming out of there. But thanks so much for joining us in conversation here on Facebook. I'm James Lennox from Milk and Sugar. If you have any questions about how we can help you with live streaming or remote content creation, we are in still full operation. We're not listed as an essential service, so we won't be coming to your place of business or even to your house. We do it right here from where our center of operations is, which is where I live. And that's just the beauty of technology, is that we are able to continue to still be creating content, still be live streaming, and still being productive, for which we are immensely grateful. And we're grateful to our clients like Capital Legacy and all of our other clients that are supporting us during this period. So thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you again on In Conversation. Join us right here live on Facebook. Next time we'll also go live to YouTube at the same time for those of you who prefer that platform. But it's been great chatting to you, and look forward to sharing some more stories of how businesses are succeeding and pressing on in lockdown. Have a good one.